Never fade. The NFT podcast. We're back. I'm with
What?
my guy, Goodmonth ETH. What's good, Goody?
What are we never fading today, FaXx? What are we gonna crack into? I gotta admit, I've been dead for the past 5 days. I'm newly revised post virus. I was in bed for way too long. Can't even remember a time I was in bed that long. But I missed a bunch. Like when I went in to the sickness, there was the Binance FUD. Where's the FUD now? When I came out, I missed the Hounds Mint. I got a lot. I got a lot to catch up on, but I got a lot of takes as well because there's a lot of things that people are not paying attention to at
Yeah,
the
he's
same
got
vein.
takes. They try to take him out. They try to send you to the burn address, but they don't know you've been through the FUD before. You've been through the fire and the flames. You're newly minted. You're newly minted champion today, and we're gonna get some takes out of you. That's what we do on this podcast. That's why we're here, to hear Goodmonth eat, pick his brain, get his takes before anybody else can, and share them with the world.
Let's go. Ape staking. Are we digging into that?
Yeah, we're gonna dig into that for sure. But first, let me ask you, did you see, I know you were in bed, you were caught up, but did you see these Trump NFTs?
Bro, I did, and I was late on them. I thought, just interesting. There's so many things that were interesting about the Trump NFT. Like, I first found out about it because I got a text from someone who's not in the space. We like to call them the normies. I got a text from them, like, and it was just like, hey, good job with this one. It was a little troll. And I was like, must be just another, because there are so many celebrity mints that happen that I'll never catch wind of. It hits this on this mainstream level, like that Chris Brown NFT that like didn't sell out. And people were like, oh, NFTs are dead because Chris Brown couldn't sell his NFT. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. So the fact that, a normie hit me up about this Trump NFT, I thought it wouldn't even penetrate into the crypto Twitter circle. I thought it was just going to be one of those things that was just on the outsides.
Yeah, there's
Then
a
I
lot of
just kind of,
stuff we've never even heard of, for sure, on
oh yeah,
Vive and other things, like
oh
other
yeah,
chains. Yeah.
yeah. And so, I thought this was just going to be another one of those, but then it hit top 10 on OpenSea, and it was an enormous supply, like 45,000. And it pumped, and I mean, it goes to show the utility to meet this guy brought a lot of people out of the woodwork. Like, last time I checked, it was 34% unique wallets. So 34% on 45,000, you're looking at about 15K wallets coming out to mint on Polygon, of all chains. Like, what do we think? How many crypto native wallets are there, and how many net new wallets did we get to enter the space?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question, right? That's what I was seeing. You know, personally, like, I wasn't gonna mint it just because the art was so low effort, albeit funny. But look, it was holding down the number one spot on OpenSea for like a minute, dude. Like, all these projects, all this stuff, and you got Trump's bogus NFT at the top of the list. But like you said, it brought new wallets in the space. What an onboarding tool, and it kind of seems like he must have flipped his stance on NFTs and crypto when he realized he could line his pockets a little bit. And a lot of people follow Trump and his moves, and they're on Team Trump. And if they're on Team NFTs and on Team Crypto too, hey, I'm not going to be mad at that at all. So that's kind of interesting thing that happened. Um, Obviously they pulled back, but I think the floor hit like zero 0.8 ETH, or maybe even approached like 1 ETH on a 45K collection. Can you even believe that?
No, I can't even imagine. I mean, like, Pixel Vault needs to take some notes on how to manage supply, right? Like, I
Oh
don't.
man.
It was really incredible, and I think it it was such a meta moment. The way he announced it was like it was like he was announcing his presidential candidacy, or he was going to announce the VP, but instead he's like, I'm launching an NFT. What was interesting too is like he's talking about trading cards. Like we don't really know what, is the purpose of these things to be traded and collected? I guess so.
That's
Like
the thing. We got to give him credit because number one, his shill video was elite, dude. It was like obviously it's corny as fuck, but like it did the job, man. As far as the target audience and getting the message out, and then he just simply described it as a digital collectible. It's a fucking collectible. It's just like a trading card. Put it in your wallet, hold it, look at it. Don't expect anything else from it. And hey, you know what? Sometimes it's that simple, and sometimes keeping it simple is a way to go, you know?
Right, right. And I mean, I've been talking to brands out there left and right that are taking a kind of similar approach to the NFT thing. And it's interesting because the approach is, hey, we're still going to do the same business we do, but we want to provide some receipts of purchase. We want to provide proofs of purchase and just have NFTs as leave behind. And I'll ask the question like, are these fixed supply? Are you trying to like keep them scarce? And they're like, nah, no. We just want to just give more digital things with the purchase they already did. And I'm like, huh? Okay. Like it's a take. And I think it's also a take when you look at like the digitally native generations that are coming up. And for those of you that don't know what like digitally native means people who are using digital products or technology before they can read. Like put that in perspective, right? So there are brands out there that are like needing to communicate to these digitally native generations sooner than not. And it just looks like the baby boomers might have just kind of got their first dose of the way digital native people buy with these Trump TGCs, these trading game cards. Let's go.
The thing is, dude, like I don't like to check my mailbox because every time I do, there's a bunch of stuff that goes straight to the garbage, you know? And what is it? Is different type of promotions. Is people turning their brand into spam. And that's the main caution, right, towards brands. Is like that's cool, man. You want to be in Web3? We want you to be in Web3. You know, we're happy to hold your hand through this as well. But let's just make sure those leave behinds, those NFTs that you're dropping, don't turn your brand into spam because that's not what is really going to do the job for you in Web3 and engage people. So
I don't know. It's appropriate to call out what this Trump thing is like. I personally look at this as completely apolitical. Like I know that there's money that is going in and lining Trump's pockets, but I also know that Trump is going to get his pockets lined in any other promotional way out there. So I think like when we talk about this, I think it's really it's important to clarify that I don't think we have any political affiliation with who's dropping anything. Like we are pro putting things on chain. We are pro bringing liquidity into the space, and we're not dumb. Like we know that lining pockets of people of power can have a chain reaction on other effects. Like money can then be used in other ways. But we do, that's life. And that's what we do every day when we fund a project. We're trusting the person to take the money and be the custodian of that money to do something that isn't evil, but we can't really control that. And so I think it's important to call out in this space, like we are not necessarily trying to look, third transaction down the chain of these type of drops. Like we are curious and interested in culture, and we're curious and interested in the way that the digital world can be interacted with. And we're not going to block off a political consumer base because of that. I don't know. You have any thoughts on that?
yeah, to your point, like people are going to contribute funds to politicians, especially to 45. Trump is great at fundraising, and absolutely like the utility of dinner with him or being around him that's what people usually like want to try to sign up for and donate. There was a dinner in Newport Beach, when he was running, that I know a lot of people, lined up to hand him money, and so maybe some people will, get to do that through the use of this NFT. But I think the thing that's net bullish here, apolitically, is more wallets, onboarding, more awareness. And I mean, once you get mainstream mindset thinking about crypto and talking about NFTs in not just the light of FUD, not just what's going on with FTX, not just scam, not just fraud. And we could talk a little bit about, wow, like the former president of the United States is endorsing the purchasing of an NFT. Like that has a lot of magnitude.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's net bullish for the space, period.
Yeah, and I also think it's like important to call out is that if you are entering this digital realm of Web3, you're interested in the metas. You're interested in the way landscape shifts with culture, and it happens rapidly. So you kind of can't, why we call this podcast Never Fade, because you can't fade things that have a foothold on culture. Whether that foothold on culture is going to last 2 days, or whether that foothold on culture is going to last 18 months or longer, you can't fade things that work, even if they have a short shelf life. And so I think it's really important to call out that, we've been through this for the last 24 months within this space where things happen and they work and they ruffle people's feathers and people get upset about them, but we work through them because it's a fabric of our culture, and we learn from them and we borrow things from them and we move on. And I'm calling this out because I had a weird situation with these Trump NFTs. Like, a part of me still feels like I should own one. It's a point in time. It's
history.
It's history on the blockchain. It's history within our politics. And then, one thing that I did, I went and checked out Pepe's .wtf to go see like how they were responding to this, because there is a Trump card on Pepe.wtf at the Pepe marketplace that is it's a series 1 card that is kind of in high regard. And I wanted to see if they popped off.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I wanted to see if they popped off in result to this, and they did. 3 of them sold.
Did.
And typically they don't sell like hotcakes. Like those are very diamond-handed holders in the Series 1 card Pepe collection, and they did. Like they popped off and sold, and that's those little cultural ticks that I look for. Those type of like sale indicators of, when we look back on this, like, what does that say about where we were in the world at the time that Trump dropped his NFT, and how it affected older age Trump NFTs in a more solidified collector market that's powered by Bitcoin when Trump dropped something on Polygon? Like, these are things to watch and look out for. Same time, though, there were fake rare drops that happened just 2 days after of Pepe fake rare artists that were dropping Trump, fake rares. One of them was an image of Trump's like thumbnail on the OpenSea collection, and it was like a fake rare artist advocating to not buy. So it was like an image of Trump and his power stance in that, like, Elon Twitter PFP looking Iron Man suit or whatever it is. And the fake rare artist wrote like, don't buy. So that was like the rare Pepe's stance as a protest was like, okay, I'm not, I'm going to do the Beeple thing where I'm going to like drop Trump as a cultural reference, but I'm going to like put an image of don't buy. And then there was another fake rare Pepe artist that just leaned into it heavy and was just like, blew the Trump.
Yeah, politically influenced art, goes back a long time. And, in general, like, this is a super interesting thing. And now our producer, Hazy B, at Hazel B. Jordan on Twitter, he pointed out, though, he shared a link to a tweet that stated that this collection was dropped by the same team that was going to drop Sylvester Stallone's collection. I guess that never did mint out. I saw it. It was pretty funny. If it did mint out, I might take another look at it because, like, I'm a Rambo and Rocky like fan growing up, so like I'll be a fanboy on Sly for a minute. So speaking of politics, last week we had BoredApeG on the podcast.
FaXx.
He's running for the Apecoin Special Counsel, right?
Truth.
For the DAO,
Truth.
And
Truth.
we're going to get into Apecoin a lot today. We're going to get into staking a little bit later. But for now, let's talk more about this DAO because I feel like this is super duper important because of how much money is in this treasury. So let's just start there.
Yeah.
So
470 M's.
Yeah, man. Apecoin has a total allocation of 1 billion tokens.
1B.
62% of that was allocated to what's called an ecosystem fund. So 620 million Apecoin. 150 million of those were already distributed to Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, and Bored Ape Kennel Club holders via the claim that happened earlier this year, right at the beginning of April or the end of March of 22. And so 150 million of that ecosystem fund is in distribution in the hands of apes, whatever they chose to do with it. And another 470 million of it was locked into the DAO for treasury. Now, of that, 117 million were unlocked at launch, and then another 7.3 million unlock monthly for 48 months. Okay, so we got a big ass fucking treasury of Apecoin. Okay, Apecoin, last time I checked, is trading around 350. So this is, over a B. We got over $1 billion in this DAO, which is ridiculous. And ultimately, like, there's a team of people. I don't know if it should call it a team, is decentralized, a group of people that are in place to govern that DAO. Now, originally, they were put in place. Can you talk about kind of like the foundation of this DAO and this group of people who are currently the Apecoin Special Counsel?
Yeah, the Apecoin Special Counsel was appointed. It was not elected. It was appointed by Yuga Lab Connections that felt that they would be great stewards for the first tranche of this DAO. And so the people on this board, Dean Steinbeck, Yatsu, Maria Bajwa, Amy Wu, and Alexis Ohanian were the stewards of that. Now, I think that, when I first saw this come through, this was my only kind of gut punch for the Apecoin DAO. When Apecoin released and they announced this DAO, it was such a big treasury and it was such a big governance, initiative that was going to kick off. That when the board of directors was appointed, they seemed, a little bit too bigwig. And I think that we needed somebody that was going to be a little bit more on the ground floor because the board of directors can't really govern the DAO. The people govern the DAO. But what they can do is have this kind of heavy hand guidance that helps steer the governance in the right direction. But because we started so high level with Dean and Yat and Alexis and Amy and Maria, I don't think we ever really kind of rolled up our sleeves and got our hands in deep enough on the community layer. So this new election of these board of directors for the 3 spots that are becoming available because the elected and appointed board of directors are stepping down. I think this is our chance to kind of go back in time a little bit, roll up our sleeves, and have that board get a little down and dirty, a little bit more brass tacks or blocking and tackling, if you will, so that they can actually set up the rails for the DAO governance to come in. And we know there's tons of issues, and it makes sense why there's tons of issues. We had this huge treasury dropped into this DAO with this very high level board and this very kind of disconnected ground floor AIP, Ape Initiative proposal governance strategy that was kind of running around disconnected with its head cut off, with its head way up here in the
Yeah, in the clouds with, like you said, big wigs. And I think the people feel that the ape community feel that they want more representation. We heard from BoredApeG about his platform and some of his ideas to operationalize the DAO and also align with the community. And this is up for vote as we speak. We're recording this on December 20th. On the 21st, the voting closes. And it's getting pretty interesting. I'm looking at the results right now. We got Veratheape with 2.9 million Apecoin votes, Degentraland with 1.8 M's, and BoredApeG in the 3 spot with 1.6 M's behind him, and then Jerry right there, right neck and neck with BoredApeG with 1.6 M's of ape. So Goodmonth, okay, this is our chance, right? This is our chance to kind of get some more representation at the community level into the special council. When you look at the results where we're at with about 24 hours left here in the voting, what do you think, man? What do you think about these candidates? What do you see? What are you worried about? What do you like to see and not?
Yeah, I mean, we leave that up, Hazy, if you could. Just kind of looking at that list of people, we're in a lot better shape than we were about 24 hours ago. But for the most part, we need to be able to get the 3 people that take these slots here need to be active in the community, and I have a little bit of FUD to throw here, and I'm a
You
bit
got FUD? You got
I'm
FUD?
I'm just a bit disappointed because this is how what I do when I hire people and I put them through the interview process, right? I always assume that they are performing at 150% in the interview, right? I always assume that when you bring somebody on, they're going to be doing 2/3 how they come off on the interview. So, what does that mean? That means they better put their best damn foot forward in that interview. I better be given smoke, right? I better be told that they're doing XYZ, that they have, they're gonna bring the creme de la creme every single day and putting their best foot forward, because I know my expectations is that real life happens, right? And you're not performing as you perform in an interview every day. Hazy, can you pull that back up?
So
When
you're
we're looking at
saying
those
you're
names,
you're
yeah,
saying looking at these candidates right now, this is showtime, and they should be
showtime.
putting their best foot forward. This is the interview.
They better
This.
fucking sparkle.
So whatever we see right now, this might potentially be the best we're gonna see out of them.
Yeah.
Because people, life happens, people fade. This is when the spotlight's on them. So let's dig into this. What are you getting at, Goodmonth? What are you
Yeah,
getting at?
you look at Degentraland and Veratheape are sitting at 1 and 2 on this list. Let's dig in. And I'm not going to bring any biased lens to this except proof of work. This is a candidacy for a spot on the board. You have submitted yourself as a nominee for this position. You have a time to run. There's a TTL on this, basically, time to live, right? A time to live to be relevant. And you better be sprinting all the way to the end to make your candidacy relevant. So at the end of the day, man, it's like it does come down to proof of work. That is what the chain is all about. That's what doing things in the DAO is all about. Now, I would have never ran for the board of Apecoin. And the reason is because I didn't put enough time in the AIPs, right? I wasn't living on that ground floor. But what I'm asking of all people who hold Apecoin is that you need to get out and vote, and you need to understand in the arena of contribution that these candidates are putting forth. So when these candidates are running their campaign, they need to be putting their answers and their information in the discourse. That is where everything is going to be happening. And I don't think we're seeing that with the people who are leading with votes. And it's disheartening. And it's disheartening because I don't think one of the largest reserves is going to make it if it doesn't have the right people steering it in the right direction.
So basically, you're saying that just looking at the actual proposal page and where the voting is taking place and the behavior and performance of the candidate in response to replies in that discourse is very telltale of kind of what to expect from them moving forward as a candidate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, even if you hadn't participated in the Apecoin DAO at all, but you decided to run for the board of directors here, then you need to be showing up every day and adding to your candidacy. You can't, if it's a 2-week election, you can't be sitting on your ass and thinking you deserve it. You have to be outperforming every single damn day.
It sounds like somebody didn't pass your test, Goodmonth.
Not even close. Yeah, pull it up. Let's go to the top of the votes.
You reviewed their answers and you got a bunch of red lines to put through what you're seeing right now. So show us what's on your mind here. What are we looking at?
Yeah. So if we look at number 1 in votes right now is Veratheape. Now, if we take proof of work into consideration and we go into Veratheape's profile or her nomination, we can hover over her discourse ID. And when we hover over her discourse ID, we will see in her 2-week candidacy, she has 2 responses. Two responses.
What? So basically people are commenting, asking her questions, in regards to her platform, what her plans are potentially as part of the Apecoin Council. You're saying This whole time she's only got she's only replied twice?
She's only replied twice. And if the argument is that nobody's giving her enough questions, then shame on everyone. Everyone needs to be asking more questions. But regardless, she needs to be getting in there and asking for the feedback, asking for the questions. Hey, y'all, I have your number 1 vote right now. I have your number 1 vote. No one's asking me questions. What do you want?
Yeah, she should be dancing around this page. She should be putting herself on display, explaining to people why she's the right person for the job.
Yeah,
it kind of makes me wonder,
farming. Where are the votes? Why are we need to do the on-chain sleuthing. Where are the votes coming from? I don't know. Yeah, let's back out of.
She get 2.9 million Apecoin votes, and she's barely even participating in this. What is going on?
I know.
What the heck? There's too much at stake. There's over $1 billion in this treasury, man.
Yo, it gets worse. It gets worse. Let's look at number 2, Degentraland.
Oh, I know this MFer, man. From
2 posts in his nomination. 2 posts. And what's one of them? What's one of the posts? How much will you work for us? 80 to 90 hours a week is what he works, so he'll allocate 50%. Bullshit. Degentraland. You're not working 40 hours a week on the DAO. I don't expect anybody on this board to work in the DAO. Just to kind of put some light into this, the people who are on the board today, they're accustomed to showing up to a meeting once a quarter. You just said you're going to work 40 hours a week for this DAO. You're bullshitting, and you're bullshitting because you have 2 posts on your discourse the entire campaign. This is when you should sparkle, MFer.
Yeah, this particular candidate, Degentraland, concerns me for a couple of reasons. One, right now, one of the current board members, Dean, he's the founder, I believe, of Horizon Labs.
Right.
Horizon set up the ape staking. We're going to get into that a little bit, but Degentraland is basically Dean's staff. I mean, he works for Dean. So, like, is
I
this
mean,
what's
he just
happening
says
here? I
he
mean,
was like he reaches out on someone's reply saying, "Thanks, I'm passionate and also most important, qualified." That's it. That's words. That's gaslighting, honestly. Now, let's pull up number 3rd on the ranks, Bored Ape G.
before we pull up BoredApeG, let me FUD Degentraland a little. You said you were going to be unbiased. I don't have to be unbiased. I can be biased, right? So, look, dude, this guy works for Dean. So, is this what's happening? Like an inside handoff? Keep it in the family, keep it on the team, keep it at Horizon Labs. Let's just take a pause for a second and talk about Horizon Labs a little bit. Like, we got into the ape staking contract last week too a bit, and we looked at we did this on a Twitter space. We looked at the audits, and you found some things that were concerning. First of all, there was only one audit that was posted on the actual ape staking platform. When you go there to stake your ape and you interact with your NFT and your ape coin, you want to make sure it's safe. You look for an audit. Usually the standard of practice, I would say, would be like 2 or 3 audits. In this case, there was only one, and you looked at that audit. What did you see when you looked at that audit?
Yeah, I
Good
mean
month?
basically there was only one audit and it wasn't great, and it's clear that they didn't have good proper test cases, and they used audit to do a little bit of their QA testing. It looked like what an understaffed engineering firm would do, and it looked like they used their audit to take care of some dirty testing that they should have had buttoned up prior to going to the audit. Now, even if the audit came out 50% better than what I saw, I'd still want a second one. So the fact that it came out as terrible as it did, and there weren't 2 audits, sloppy and
Sloppy.
irresponsible.
So basically, the findings of the audit were findings that shouldn't have made it past their internal QA.
It
For
shouldn't have.
one.
And I can give you an exact example. So one of the things in their audit was that they didn't test for when someone could claim 0. They tested for all the other integers except for 0, and that caused an issue. And that's something that needs to be defined when you write the spec, and it needs to be tested in your test cases, and it wasn't, and because it got passed over the audit. There's also some other things that were that came up for dog owners. Like, dog owners could essentially claim all the ape rewards from ape
Mutant
holder.
or ape?
Yeah.
Oh man. So
So they just
these are
weren't testing.
potentially
Yeah, it's
catastrophic
permissions.
issue.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are these are yeah.
And anybody who wants to gaslight can say, well, yeah, but weren't they fixed? So we're good. It's like, yeah, that's not how software exploit and bad actors work. They will, if it's that flawed, it's that much of a motivator, because likely the attacker cost is lower than they think, and they're going to attempt to exploit. So I wasn't happy with if I was putting a staking contract out and I got that code review back, I'd say we're delayed for 6 months. And the reason being is because I need to go get 2 more audits now, and I need to go try to break this thing myself internally to make sure that I'm checking the boxes that the auditor will not report on. And I'm going to openly report on it.
So we know that the work was sloppy. They didn't even do a second audit when those findings came back the way that they did. They did address them. But also the staking was delayed. So this is our experience with Horizon so far. Okay. I'm sure that there's more to Horizon. I'm just saying this is what we've seen so far. And now we're seeing what looks to be like an inside handoff to Degentraland. And of course, magically, he's got all of these votes, and he has not been that active and responding in a way that shows that he really is trying even. So this is concerning, man. So what do you see next, man? What's up with BoredApeG? Is he on there or what?
When we look at BoredApeG's activity, he's 3rd in line, right? We've just been going down the list. BoredApeG was on our show last week. He has 15 posts in the topic. Hazy, go ahead and click on that. And the proof is in the pudding. The dude is
Grinding.
active and grinding. And all
Yeah.
of his responses are in here referencing things he's done in the past, things has plans for. He's not
Yeah, he
giving up.
cares.
He
He
cares.
cares. He's in there. He's giving thoughtful,
He's referencing
detailed answers.
AIPs. He's talked about how he's already put in work on AIPs to improve. He's sharing screenshots from conversations on Twitter that he's had. It's remarkable
It's night and day.
that there are two people that are packing votes above someone who's putting in this much effort. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you have been in your past. If you're showing up during a 2-week election to campaign your ass off, then hats off to you. And another person who's campaigning their ass off is Jerry. He had been rolling through DMs, helping people stake his ape. He'd been putting in the effort. He'd been putting in the time. He'd been putting in a lot of good words in Twitter Spaces and stuff. Like, these are the type of people that need to represent the community on this board. So Jerry, he has 4 posts on this topic, not quite as many as BoredApeG, but I know for a fact he's been all over Twitter and he's been helping people. But I don't want to call in Twitter too much here because, that is not where this is going down. This is going down on the discourse. And, even Jerry's a little light here. So I think on the barometer that I have been judging Degentraland and Veratheape, Jerry hasn't been really hitting his discourse as hard either. So you got to call it out. Like, this is where you got to be in the arena. And I think, right after this, I'm going to pop in that discourse and start asking questions and start actually figuring out whether people are active or not, because people are about to get rugged on the people they're voting for.
Yeah, it looks like to me like, we're going to have to be the critical ones here. This is a critical time as far as representation. My goal is just simply to have a voice, when it comes to these funds and these moves and just representation of the community, because like I constantly am interacting with the community, trying to get a pulse for what's going on and what people think is the right next steps. And just want to have, a way to make sure that that's heard. I think that's the whole point of this council. And I don't think we've seen that so far.
Right. And you know why it's important? Like, why this council is important is because they're governing over an Apecoin, the coin for the metaverse. That's the vision. That's the dream for this thing. And just this past week, we're like 10 days deep now, I guess. We all, had the opportunity to stake our Apecoin to yield more Apecoin. And it's not a common staking mechanism. The people who've been in DeFi since 2016, they've had plenty of opportunities to stake coins to yield more coins. Very rarely.
Before we get into the staking, though, let me ask you another question, because I want to talk about staking at length. And but I'm kind of confused. That's why you're here. To help answer my questions, and we can share these answers with the community. I've seen some FUD. I've seen a little bit of FUD about the Cartan group.
You've seen some FUD.
I saw an AIP. Basically, they were saying that $150,000 was not enough, and they're asking
this one's bad.
$250,000 a month plus 20,000 Apecoin. So that's like an additional, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month. What is the Cartan group? What are they doing here? And what are they doing that's so important that they want $330,000 a month to do it?
Yeah, this AIP is crucial and it needs to fail. I'll publicly stand against it because BC from Cartan got up on Twitter Spaces, was, you know, self-admitted that he was a couple vodkas in on the night, and he was talking about the things the things that they do, and it was smug. It was smug as hell because he was gaslighting people on the call. He was basically saying because of his background, because of their credentials, because of their license, you know, telling people that they're not allowed to fuck around, so they never would fuck around, and telling people that they, you know, they keep their professional and personal degen sides completely separate. It was totally two-faced, right? It was not transparent. It was secretive. It was belittling. The way that BC from Cartan and his you know, he has a CTO called, his name's Brian, I think. But the way that this character was talking on Twitter Spaces was belittling to everybody that was there, explaining
When
things.
was this?
This was Sunday night, I think.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Twitter Spaces strikes again, man.
dude, it
So
just
informative.
yeah, it was just extremely smug. You know, imagine somebody saying, like, imagine somebody telling you that they have all the credentials and all the experience and everything, that they've had success in their past life and why it's just like a no-brainer they're qualified, and then just getting on to pontificating what needs to change and how they're going to do the things without leaving any room to question, you know, their motives, without leaving any room to question why they're standing up to do this. Like, the motivations of this group isn't clear. And I think
But
one of the things
wait a second. So, what is Cartan Group supposed to be doing?
so what they've done so far in the DAO is they've, like, set up the Google Workspace, they've set up the permission controls, the operations, the admins. All they've been is an admin to run the treasury. And that is not something that should we should not get in the habit of being extorted to keep them on board and pay more. Like, they need to be able to show and prove that they can transition. They need to be able to show that if somebody else comes on to take on the job, there's a smooth handoff, there's a smooth transition, and somebody should be able to do it for the same cost, if not a little bit less than what they have set out to do. But coming back and basically printing themselves a renewal contract with an upsell and not explaining why their operation costs are going up, even if they just pointed to inflation and put the math out there. They didn't. They're just saying that, you know, they did XYZ, they quoted X, they ended up putting more of their capital in for Y, and now they need more money to continue on their services. It's not as black and white as they're making it feel, right?
Yeah, and that's a considerable amount of
Like,
funds.
read the AIP, go through the AIP, read it. It doesn't break down why that extra 250, or why the extra, is it 100,000? Why the extra 100,000 a month is needed. There's
plus
nowhere in
20K
that
of Ape.
There's nowhere in that AIP does it say how that 100K is going to be allocated differently. It doesn't even say that 100K is going to make up for costs that they overspent in the year. It doesn't say any of that.
It doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say anything. And that's as
but-
smug as that MFer showed up on Twitter Spaces talking to everybody like he just deserved to be there and deserves to walk in there with the experience that they have and deserves to print more money.
Okay, well, there is a link to more detailed
and this is the same MFer,
explanation.
honestly, dude. If you had him on the show, if you had that guy on the show, he would do like a little smug laughter, like, okay, like, you just don't get it. I'm not here to be talked to like this. You know, he would just like totally try to gaslight his way all the way through it.
Well, basically, the community is not happy with it because it's currently at a 75% to 25% in favor of no to this proposal,
which is new. This was about to pass.
Oh,
They
wow.
also did a bit of shady voting. They there
Man.
was a late snapshot on a particular AIP, uh, and they somehow, it's pretty clear they had to know about it.
So they knew about it and were able to game that snapshot. See, this is dangerous, man. This
Yes,
is,
sir.
and most people don't really know that this is happening. And they don't think about how this is going to affect the future. But we're looking at this, and what we see is some red flags. So we'll follow this. Looks like this is leading towards not passing. So okay, well, we'll see how this council vote goes. It's going to end tomorrow. Next time we record, we will have a new, council elected, at least 3 members. That brings us to ape staking, which is what I'm really interested to talk about, because that's a big deal with what's going on. People always talk about NFT utility. What are the utilities of NFTs? Well, most people say community. There's other things, merch, um, IRL events, and a lot more to be developed in times to come. But in my mind, like, the biggest thing was the opportunity to get some DeFi action, some staking, and we have that
Right.
opportunity in front of us with Apecoin. There's a big old treasury that's going to be distributing the Apecoin to holders that are staking their ape with either the use of a BoredApe or a mutant ape, or in combination with a dog. These allow you to stake different amounts of ape. And then there's an ape only pool, which doesn't require any NFTs, just requires ape. And these are, giving us some pretty decent APYs at the moment. And people in the community, though, seems like they're kind of shook and they're worried, and they think this is just going to fall apart and the rug is going to get pulled out from under Apecoin or something. I mean, what's your take?
Yeah, I'm incredibly bullish, and I think the price trajectory of Ape over these last 10 days is doing exactly what I anticipated. I think I told you I had to be prepared for Ape to be at about $3.30 7 days after staking, and that's because that's when we'll probably really like understand our bottom. And we hit like 334, and now we're back up to like 350. I'm bullish on this scenario because it's very rare that staking, and just for people listening who may not know what staking is, it's no different than depositing. It's the same action of depositing something to get a return, much like you in the old days could deposit your USD into a bank and it would actually return money back to you. You remember that was a little funny thing that our parents told us would happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Wah, wah,
They used to be able to gain
wah.
interest off of your cash. Yeah.
That's right. So that was, gaining interest is why someone would stake. So it's very rare in crypto when you get a staking opportunity where there are enough sinks. When I say the word sinks, I'm talking use cases. When I say use cases, I'm talking utility. There's enough sinks around the utility of the coin that create scarcity, which drives hold pressure and also could drive buy pressure. Because without enough sinks, staking is usually, deposit something to get more of something, and then everyone goes and sells their thing, and then it creates a crater in price. But the reason why I'm bullish on ape staking is because the hold pressure that the culture technically kind of infuses into the holders. Um,
Hold pressure?
Hold pressure. So
Is this a term you're making up
yeah,
or what?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it
There
up.
he goes.
Made it up
There he
last week.
goes. He slides in hold pressure, just like this is something that, like, this is the terminology in the space. But
That's
no,
right.
he's made it up. What do you mean by that?
So everybody talks about buy pressure and sell pressure. When you go to stake your Apecoin, you're going to get Apecoin in return. And everybody assumes that people's psychology will work the same way, which is you put something in, you get something out, you take that extra output and you convert it to cash or convert it to ETH, And therefore, everybody's doing that at the same time. And that creates a disproportionate amount of sell pressure. There is no buy pressure to support all that sell pressure. So the price will continue to go as low as it possibly can until it reaches a point where it can't go any lower. That
So
is the traditional thinking of staking and buy and sell pressure.
So let me hold that thought, right? So this is kind of what I mean when I say that people are shook. Everybody seems to think that the staking rewards are going to get liquidated and that's going to create sell pressure. And eventually this just going to keep pushing ape down. And they're worried about, riding that ape coin down. And look, I get it. There's been a lot of coins that we've seen fail, drag down towards zero, become next to worthless, if not worthless. So people are traumatized by this and they're worried. And you, for some reason, don't seem as worried. And you're saying that that's because of hold pressure?
Yeah, because I've been sitting on these apes for over 20 months. And as the market, like I've been sitting on the NFTs of not the coin, but sitting on these NFTs of these apes for over 20 months. And when you sit in a macro market like this of pure confusion and just an immense amount of bear market, but volume is still popping off on these NFTs at 1500x what I bought them for, you realize like this group of holders, it's been the bet from the beginning and everybody forgets it. But the reason why BoredApe Yacht Club took off like it did is because the group of holders have this connection. There's this online community that they rather fucking go broke than be without an ape. And you can't fade that. So that type of holder mentality, that psychology is going to proliferate into people who hold mutants, into people who hold dogs, and into people who hold Apecoin. We have been bred throughout this generation to not be caught with your pants down when upside is upon you. You aren't saving for retirement if you're a millennial or you're a Gen Z. You're not thinking about saving for retirement. You're thinking about getting out ahead of as many bets as you can to hit it big before the word retirement ever crosses your motherfucking brain. If you are a millennial or a Gen Z person, you're expecting yourself to hustle and grind and have 10 M's in pocket before the age of 50. That's what you're playing for. And every single person who owns a monkey, a mutant, a dog, whatever the fuck it is within Yuga Labs, every single person who's holding one of those things is holding because they don't want to miss on the next big wave. Guess what? The next big wave may not ever come, but it will, only because these holders won't let it go and they won't fade it from not coming.
Yeah, and so also like when we think about Apecoin, it's been around for a while now. It basically was launched in like the end of the bull, right?
End of the bull. It signaled the end of the bull.
It signaled the end of the bull. It had a big rally leading into the other side land drop because that was the main utility, the main sink that was announced right away. And there was a lot of FOMO around the other deeds drop around that mint, and people needed Apecoin in order to do it. So of course it ramped up to hit all-time high, I think close to like $27, and then pretty much dove down after that. And now it's just been consolidating for a while in the Pico Bear.
Pico Bear
grinding, just surviving. And it kind of seems like, I don't know if I should say it, but it kind of seems like the paper hands are out. Are the paper hands out?
The paper hands are shook. You can't think how long, and Hazy B just corrected us. So March 17th was the ape claim, St. Patty's Day. I forgot it was actually March. It always felt like April. Thanks for that correction. But The paper hands are shaking out, and I'm gonna say something like I'm gonna say it like FTX is shaking out. Like the
That's
fucking
right.
like
That's right.
Luna got shook out. Celsius got shook out. Voyager got shook out. Like the people that were leveraged at the tip to run it, at the tip to chasing the windfall, to freaking go God mode. What they were betting on that this bull was going to last 6 months longer than it did, and they were going to achieve God mode, and they got shaken out. If institutional players at that high stakes level get shaken out, what do you think the paper hand retail investor does? They're gone a long time ago.
They're dust. This is a good point, man.
They're perma-wrecked.
Okay? We've been through insane amounts of events in the marketplace that cause sell pressure time and time again. Sell pressure, get away from margin trading, get those leverages back under pocket, get in control of your funds before it goes to zero. The amount of FUD that's reverberated through the space is literally more than anyone could have imagined. And yet Apecoin has survived. And now we're looking at this staking opportunity. And look, man,
you think if FTX had $8 billion in Apecoin, you think they'd be staking right now?
yeah, definitely would be staking. There's no question about it.
If FTX had $8 billion worth of Apecoin, they could be staking and paying back their customers and making money.
Well, here's the thing, dude. Right now, the ape only pool, and the more people that utilize the pool and the more ape that gets staked, the APY, conversely goes down. So it's at 152%. And then the Bake, Make, and Kennel Club are all over 200% in like the 230, 240 range. I'm not fading that, man. Obviously, there's this kind of PvP thing when it comes to staking, and you got to watch out, see what the whales are going to do and this kind of thing. But this just got started.
But we know the whales. That's the thing. Like, that's what people, I just don't think they understand about ape staking. Is like, the whales, the holders. When you buy an Apple share, when you buy a Google share, when you buy an Amazon share, you don't know the holders. You don't know the distribution. You don't know when people are going to dump. You don't. We fucking know our holders. We know who owns the ape. We know their community reputation. We know that they rather die than be seen as a fucking paper bag.
That's right, dude. That's the take. People who made it this far, who held their apes, who are here ready to stake, they're not going to paper hand right now.
They're not going to paper hand.
This is the Pico bottom. This is
the Pico bottom. You're not doing nothing. You know what I'm doing right now? A little bit of just insight into my life. Do you know my family? We roll off one car. I need 2 cars. Am I buying a car right now when everyone's dumping their overvalued, no good used loan 2020, 2021 car that they can't even afford? You think I'm going to be exit liquidity for a second car? I ride my bike, motherfucker.
Ride your bike and stake your ape, dude. This is alpha. This is fucking alpha for sure. So I love to see it, man. I'm with you on this. Imagine coming this far and not participating in this. Now, the other
say it again. Here, imagine coming this far and missing out. Imagine being airdropped 86,000 Apecoin, selling it at the top of $22, packing that bag for the coldest winter known to mankind, riding your bike to every damn location you need to go, just to enter back into the ape coin at 388 to stake and make it back.
Yeah, and then there's this other X factor, which is the fact that Gordon Goner and Garga.
I just put it together. Just you saying Gordon Goner right now. The initials are GG.
GG. He went on a Twitter Spaces. I think it was on FaXx's Twitter Space like a couple months ago. Maybe it was in early November or something. And people wanted to hear. Yeah, people wanted to hear from them and like, what are the next steps? And they alluded to the fact that at the kind of turn of the year here, we're going to be experiencing the next steps, and something about the trial of Jimmy the Monkey is coming. There was a post on Twitter from their main account that showed some kind of mysterious box, looks like in the hands of some mysterious ape. So there's speculation that there's an announcement coming. We don't know what it is. You know, most likely
we do know there's an announcement coming. We do know it's Christmas Day, which I was pissed about. I don't
wait.
Want
we
to,
know that.
We know that it's Christmas
It's on
Day.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Oh, is that when that like treasure box thing is going to be?
We know it
opened.
Yeah. So Christmas is a make or break day, because if you're asking for our attention on Christmas, it better entertain the family.
That's a good point.
If you're asking, do you know how many, and I'm sorry to say it is mainly male in our crypto Twitter world, do you know how many partners are going to be mad at him on Christmas Day because they're going to be sitting around waiting for this thing?
Well, I think the point that you're making is, after all this time, if you're going to make your announcement on Christmas, that thing better be a motherfucking Christmas gift to remember.
That thing better be a studio level cross-platform movie that the whole fam is sitting down and watching on Hulu, on Apple TV, on Netflix, on Vimeo. Let's fucking go.
Oh, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. So, you know, with this in mind, like, imagine coming this far and then paper handing before Christmas. No fucking way. No way. No way. Bro, I would rather die than not be in position, dude. I'm sorry. Yeah, like you said, bro.
It's jockeying. We're all jockeying for that spot just to live another day. Like, just to live another day. Imagine, like, my mind, honestly, I think there's going to be a movie. I think it's going to be able to entertain a family. I think there's going to be consequences for assets within the collection.
And I do think, you know, given the regulatory situation, you know, there's not going to be like explicit discussion about Apecoin. But we've seen from past announcements, if it's bullish for Yuga or it's bullish for other side, which we got to keep in mind that, like, we still don't know what a coda is. We still haven't kind of taken the next steps of the voyage of the other deeds and this kind of stuff. But anything that's bullish in regards to that, usually we do see some appreciation in Apecoin value, not financial advice, but because of the staking, because of the locked up supply, Apecoin does trade pretty thin, and it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot to push it up or send it down. You know, it did have a fast drop when staking started from over $4 down to 3 and some change. And, you know, people took that. And let's see if there's anything to come on the upside here. So, you know, with that, I think we dug into the Apecoin Council, some of the concerns that we have about what's going on with these votes. I mean, look, people, we need to like watch this stuff. We need to keep an eye on this, because this is going to be important in the next steps of the ecosystem here. We talked about ape staking. I'm really excited to participate.
Did you miss who the new CEO of Yuga Labs is?
I didn't miss it, but I did fail to bring it up today. So let's just talk about that for a second. So our guy, he came from Blizzard, the COO and president of Blizzard. I believe his name is Daniel Allegri.
Allegren or something? Yeah.
Allegri?
Daniel
Allegri? What's your take?
Definitely brought in a AAA studio, gaming exec. I mean, my take is this has to be heavy-handed by Animoca. I think this is an investor placement. I don't see Nicole Muniz. I checked her LinkedIn. It now says leadership team. So she stepped away from the CEO title, whether it was her decision or whether she was asked to. I think she's supportive, right, and of the decision. But
I mean, I think that he's got to be more qualified than her. I mean, just based on the experience at Blizzard, right, and being the COO and president of a gaming company, that does seem like a higher level of qualification, from my understanding. I mean,
I think it's important with them buying WeNew too, like. With them buying WeNew Productions, right? They bought a production company. They'll have a gaming company. I'm gonna say it.
That's
I'm gonna say it.
Right?
I've said
that's
it
10.
for 10KTF is WeNew runs that, but Beeple is also a co-founder in WeNew, along with Guy Osiri, who's also at Yuga. It's a little hard to tell how involved Guy Osiri still is with Yuga Labs. I hope he still stays involved on the cultural side. But I'm going to say something I always hold back from saying. Because there's a lot of people who talk about, the Marvel of this, the Disney of this. Yuga Labs is going to be the Disney of our child's generation. There's no doubt about it. You just don't have one Mickey Mouse. You have 10,000 Mickey Mouses. So the Disney effect, in my opinion, it's in full effect. With the fact they bought WeNew, it's Pixar. The fact that they are building, they have their new CEO of Yuga Labs has Activision roots, and they're building a metaverse. Well, guess what? That's Disneyland in Disney World. It's just not physical anymore. It's digital. And because it's not physical, and because we're in the year 2022, about to go into 2023, and we can actually scale digitally across a new generation whose behavioral consumption also wants to consume digitally. Like, I think Yuga Labs gets to the size of Disney in about a decade's time.
I always get my best tweets from your takes, baby. Let's go now, right now. At FaXx_ETH with my guy at Goodmonth ETH. WeNew is our Pixar. Other side is our Disneyland. Apes are our Mickey Mouse. Never fade. The NFT podcast.
That's epic.
Thanks to our producer,
I know.
AZB.
FaXx has a problem with the nostril. They just got no nose. Let it go.
That's okay. You gotta
Yeah. Well, Dex is a chat. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. RP got that heartbeat. Bridge built to the swamp, now the apes all barking. Picking up bananas like you ever heard a cat laughing. They on time sweeping. What's left? Got a red Aziz, call it out of weight. Headed down from the treehouse with a floor.